wheels come out of the garage, the car starts to get really heavy. Okay, we're in a... Oops. Welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're here today with my 1956 Chop Top Oval Beetle, also known as Eleanore. And after working on that gas tank and really being sick and tired of it, it's time to work on the body. The gas tank is now finished and out of the way. It's inside there currently, where it belongs. But what I need to do is I need to get this body back up on top of that dolly. But because the chassis has become so much wider using the Porsche rear end that I put on there, I'm going to have to actually widen up this dolly. I'm thinking probably about 10 inches. And now the suspension is wider, about 4 1/3 inches on each side. So if you add that together, the total is just under 9 inches, and I figure if I add an extra inch to it, that gives me a little bit of sloppiness to roll the chassis underneath this. And that's how this works. The body drops on top of it, and then I can take the chassis and roll it underneath it while it's in the garage, so save storage space. That's what I need to do. The body needs to come back off, and the reason I need to take the body back off is because I need to do a lot of welding on the inside of this car, and, well, you just can't do it sitting in the driver's seat. I'm going to burn holes in the upholstery that's on the seats. I'm going to set myself on fire, and honestly, in that environment, you can't breathe. So I'm not even going to try to do that, as big of a guy as I am. I'm going to put it back up on top of the dolly, and inside of there, when it's up on that dolly, I can actually stand up inside. It's about 6'6" to the ceiling inside of there when it's on top of that, and I'm only 6'3", so I fit in there just fine. I'll get the inside welded as a bunch of spots that I just didn't finish on it last year. Some of the interior stuff that I figured nobody was going to see that, well, needs to be finished up. This car, honestly, is not too far off from getting its last fill and getting a coat of primer on it. I just need to get that stuff done. Once I drop the body back on it for the show coming up this October, I'll only take it off one more time after that. Here's hoping. Hoping for only one more time, because I'll put the body back on there and then we'll get it final painted. And I don't know if I'm going to do the paint myself. I really haven't decided what color I want to do yet. I did have some paint in the garage that I bought over 20 years ago to go on my '69 Beetle back when I was 19 years old, and well, that car never got finished. I ended up having to sell it because I had to move. I followed a job to a different state, and the car couldn't come with me. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe on my video. If you enjoy my videos, check out my other channels as well. Besides Duckman Cycles of VW Garage, I also have VV the Duck VV and Skeeter the Duck. And you can hit us up over on my Facebook group page. Get on to Facebook and search for Duckman Cycles of VW Garage and join the group. There'll be a discussion on this car as well as some of my other projects, maybe the Pook Moped, maybe the Doodle Bastard you're seeing over there, maybe the CR500, which is actually sitting in my kitchen right now to remind me to get to it. This coming Saturday will be CR500 Saturday, so that comes back too. So anyway, thanks very much for watching, and roll the intro. So anyways, we did some measuring here in the garage. What I did was I vice gripped a level onto the fender there, and then I measured between the level over to the toolbox, because it was actually up against the toolbox when it was sitting here in the garage, and then I subtracted about 2 inches, which is roughly the gap between here, to figure out the actual width of the car at the fenders. And I discovered that the car is 67 inches wide, and the wheels are ever so slightly tucked in from that. So I'm figuring 67 inches should be good for the inside gap between here and there. Now normally you wouldn't have to build a body dolly this wide, but because Eleanore has a big fat booty, sometimes you gotta make some adjustments in some of your projects, and this happens to be one of them. So I'm going to pull some of the screws out of this thing, because it was mostly screwed together, so everything comes out of it pretty easily, as long as they're not too rotten rusted and don't bust when I try to loosen them up, which just might be the case. The inside on this thing, let's go ahead and get a measurement on it here. Yeah, we got 65 inches. So 67 inches clearly is not going to fit in there. The front end width isn't as wide as the rear, so I'm not worried about that at all. But yeah, this thing needs to come out 2 inches on the inside. But I'm going to give it more gap than that because on this side, I've got some 2x4s that I put in between here underneath these wheels, and I actually made the thing much more stable. So the width between there, you figure, is 1 3/4 less on each side. So it's considerably less wide than this. So I'm going to push this thing out, like I said, probably about 10 inches. That'll give me enough space to make adjustments that I need and be able to get it to roll in between that side as well. This Dolly is something I've had around for, probably about 5 or 6 years. The first car I put up on it was my 1973 Carmen Ghia. It's been pretty good to me. I've had several Beetles on it. My 65 Beetles on it. Eleanore was on it while I was doing the roof chop before the chassis got widened. The blue 1969 Beetle's been on top of it. And, well, I think that actually might just be about it. But it's still holding up. It hasn't fallen apart yet. I did use pressure-treated lumber here, which the sun has really, really bleached the color out of. It actually used to be green. It's not anymore. And my original design had hinges from doors on there and allowed me to knock out the door nail that was here and take the ends and fold them down. And what that allowed me to do was to build the unit around the car that was about to go up, and then lift up one end at a time and then swing it into position, shoving the pin back in, go to the other side, lift the car up, swing the pin back in. And it was a very quick two-person operation, which wasn't too bad if my ex didn't smash my toes on one of the times that I was doing it, because she decided to let go and let the damn thing fall down on my feet. So I was a little bit pissed off about that one. So yeah, now when I do this, I try to do it alone. I don't ask for somebody's help, because usually I get hurt or something gets broken in the process when somebody helps me. So anyway, let's go ahead and cut this thing up. I got a couple new pieces of lumber to put up on top of this thing. I'm going to start removing some screws, and let's see where this takes us. Did a little sawing down there, whacked about, roughly about 14 inches off of a 8-foot 4x4. We got them stuck up on top of here, and each one is about 10 inches longer, as you can see right there. Now that's about how much wider the sucker is going to get. It's not too awfully dramatic, but it's definitely bigger than what it was. And it has to be. Eleanor's got a fat booty. Alright, let's start pulling them screws out and start reassembling this thing and see what we got. It's looking pretty good so far. I mean, I think that's going to be okay, and I took some measurements in the garage, and it's also going to fit in there without too big of a problem. It's going to take away from my walk space that's between there, but I don't necessarily have to walk out through the garage all the time. And it's hopefully not going to be up on a Dolly for too awfully long anyway, maybe just the next couple months until it gets back down on the pan for the next car show. Okay, here we go. Let's start pulling screws. Well, the screws came out with my screw gun quite easily, and then this piece comes right out of there. Now I think I can weasel the one into place and get it fastened without removing this side. I want to keep this thing standing upright, and it was a little bit of a pain in the ass to build it because it wants to fall over. But with that one piece in, it'll stand up. So let's go ahead and wedge that piece in there and see just how this looks. Let's find out. Yep, I'll have to tweak it a little bit, but it's in there. Yep, there it is. Okay, I'll start running some of them screws in. Boy, that platform did get a lot bigger than it was. Wow. That's what I needed for Eleanore. And get this thing finished, and then the body's coming off. Okay, I think we're pretty good. Let's just double check this measurement underneath. We need about 67 inches between here. 71. Good. That'll give me enough room to slop the car around in there if it goes in a little crooked or something. Let's go ahead and start putting the screws in this thing. Alright, due to the perspective, the car looks a lot smaller than the stand. And that's actually not entirely the case. I did have a little bit of an oversight. I didn't think to check to make sure that this was going to fit through the garage door, and actually it does. but you see my gas pump, the red container right over there, it will not squeeze past between the door and that. So I'm going to have to either relocate that or push it further into the wall someplace over there, which is probably a good idea anyway, because that's always been a really tight corner to walk through. But we're all assembled, so I'm going to roll Eleanore out into the driveway here and get that body lifted off, dropped on top of here, and then we'll try to push it back into the garage. And we should be able to start working on it tomorrow. That's where we're at. Looking good. Alright, this is one of those things that could be a little tricky. The car's got to come out. But because my driveway's on such an incline, the car will want to get away from me. So I've got to stay ahead of it and make sure I've got a wheel shock. As soon as those back wheels come out of the garage, the car starts to get really heavy. And that's the number one reason why this car doesn't have an engine in it yet. Rolling it in and out of the garage is extremely difficult. Okay, I have to clear out the interior. It's not a big deal. Need to pull the seat out of the back too. I got some Porsche suspension pieces under there. I've got to take out, I guess I can leave the deck lid on. Yeah, deck lid can stay on. I need to get under the hood, remove the gas tank. There it is. Got stuck. Gas tank has to come out. That Porsche rear suspension has to come out. It would be a good idea if the doors come off too. With the doors off, the car will balance a whole lot better. It's interesting. All the metal that I treated with the phosphoric acid last year all turned green. It was very grayish white before, but no, it's greened out. I wonder if it pulled out perhaps some of the pigmentation from the old paint that used to be here, because it's not that far off from that kind of green. This should be good to go. I'm going to get my cherry picker over here with my special platform that I made to lift it up, and we'll go ahead and start pulling this thing all apart. Alright, there we are. Entire car is broken down. I'm getting pretty good at it. I tore the whole car apart in about 30 minutes. I mean, it helped that a few of the things weren't bolted in, like the gas tank, but the doors and stuff and seats, those are all bolted down. There it is. Steering column is out, gas tank is out. Even the little front clip that used to be here wasn't welded in yet, so I removed it too. Okay, body has been, it's pretty much separated. The only thing that's holding it down on top of the pan right now is gravity. So it's ready to go up. Alright, that's near stock height. It's just got a little bit of lowered in the front from the drop spindles that I put on there earlier. Okay, cherry picker ought to fit right underneath that chassis, and let's see if we can get this thing lifted. I went to grab my lift apparatus. This is what attaches to my cherry picker. And it was in the backyard. I couldn't find it. Buried underneath some pine needles, and probably been underneath the pine needles for, I'd say, 2-3 months maybe. It's been quite a while, and it stayed damp, and some of this wood is not pressure treated. And you know what happens to wood that's not pressure treated when it stays wet for a while? Needless to say, this thing is feeling kind of flimsy, and it smells like a dead animal. It's got mushrooms growing out of it. I can't use this and expect it to work safely, so I'm going to build a new one. But the most critical thing is that it's about 5 feet wide, or 5 feet long, I should say. And it's got a bolt sticking out the bottom of it. We'll get into how that works in just a minute here, but I'm going to build a new one out of the 4x4s that I used off of the old body dolly. Anyways, while I had the camera off, I ripped the bolt right out of it. Turned out it wasn't very strong at all. That wood is rotten. This bolt, however, doesn't seem to have a single spot of rust on it. I believe this is a bolt from a Suzuki SV650 rear suspension, so I don't know what it's made from, but it's resilient, that's for sure. Boy, this thing stinks like a dead animal. This thing just smells really bad. Maybe something died underneath it. Anyway, this whole thing's going in the trash. I don't even want it near the house. It's probably loaded with termites and stuff, and leaning against the house is probably a bad idea. We're going to put that in the trash can and get rid of it and continue on our project. Okay, there's our new lift apparatus, about 5 feet long. I got two 2x4s put up there. The reason why is one of them has a hole drill all the way through it, and the other one has just a little cup bored into it, so that way this bolt fits in there and it all sandwiches together. Didn't do anything fancy, just nailed it together with my nail gun, and this sucker is ready to go together. We'll demonstrate that right over here. Alright, at the end of the boom on my cherry picker is a hole. It's about 1/2 inch big, and that bolt fits into it just like that. Now it's ready to go up. Get this thing straight, start pumping. I also have that stack in the center here because when you jack this up, you'll start to notice that it hits the boom. So you have to do one of two things. You have to move the board one way, or move the boom the other way, or get a taller stack over here. Stops that from happening because you want that to contact over on this end and this end at the same time. Probably better that I move the boom this way and attack inwards like that, because this has to be as butted as far backwards as you can into the armpit of the upper door frame at the B-pillar up there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move this around, and we'll get it straight and we'll start lifting up again. Get up a little higher and we'll straighten it out. Actually, that's pretty well centered. I think we just need to go up some more. It's leveling itself out the higher it goes, which is a good thing. That means I had it pretty close to right. Okay, going up. Alright, we're in a pretty good position right now. I don't like to leave it up for too long. I need to go ahead and pull the pan out, get it out of the way, get the body dolly pushed under, and drop the body back down on top of it. On this floor pan, you're going to see some parts that were left on here that aren't going to stay on here, some temporary stuff, some parts that I didn't intend on staying. Like there's a set of drum brakes on the front, and you can see my Porsche rotor on the one side and the back, but on this side is all Volkswagen stuff. So now that this is up, I'm actually going to do a separate video as to how the Porsche parts fit on the back here and how I made that work. Okay, doing well. Let's go ahead and get this stand under. When you've got this steep of a driveway, it's a good idea to chalk all your wheels. Alright, we need to go up a little bit. Sometimes you can just sneak it in. And back down we go. Will roll and fit underneath. As a completed apparatus, that's how it would install in the garage. Not bad. Okay. My biggest concern was in the rear. These wheels hitting the metal casters that are on there, scratching the paint. So I've got a couple inches to spare on each side. This is exactly what I wanted. That is good. I'm highly satisfied with that. There you can get a look at the mismatched rear suspension that I've got. That's the Porsche on that side, and here's the Volkswagen again. I'm going to say I nailed it. No catastrophes, nothing got smashed. I think we're good. All good to go. That's it. Everything fit in there nicely, nothing's mashed up. Excellent. Now I get to make clearance in the garage and make it fit. Fun times. Well, there we have everything put in the garage, including the Ninja 250, my welder, a bunch of scrap metal, and a few other things. You can see the chassis is underneath there. There's plenty of space to put it in there, and as if you've been watching, you know that this chassis is actually going to get wider, so the track width is going to increase. In the back, it's probably going to open up about another 4.5 inches or so, and in the front, probably 2, maybe 3. But the back was the critical part, because I put that extra 2x4 in there vertically, which detracted from the inside width. I can't really walk through here anymore. I was hoping I was going to be able to, but no, it worked out that I couldn't. If I move the SV650, which is what's under that cover there, to the shed or something, I could probably walk through here real carefully. But I think I'm going to leave it where it's at. Man, I need a bigger shop. I need to do that shop idea soon. But we're still a year or more away before I get into that. You guys have been asking me about that, by the way. And I did say in the video that it's a year or more away. We're going to look into that maybe in 2019. I'm still collecting funds for it. But anyway, Eleanore is currently in the garage. So if you liked this video and you thought this was kind of a neat concept, please like, comment, subscribe, give me that little thumbie, pluck that little dingleberry, and check out my other YouTube channels. Besides Duckman Cycles and VW Garage, we've also got VV the Duck VV and Skeeter the Duck. And hit me up on my Facebook page. Do a search in the search box for Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. And if you'd like to email me, you can always throw me an email at duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Now, that's not in print anywhere. I only mention that verbally in my videos. So if you're interested in emailing me, once again, that's duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks a lot, you guys. Appreciate you watching. Thanks. Stick around. The next video, I think we're going to work on the Porsche rear suspension and get that finalized for both sides. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it. Till next time.